Okay, so um, a lot of times when people are talking about, you hear guys talking about playing funk, and what you end up with is a lot of kind of busy 16th notey um, hyper rhythms and all this kind of waka waka waka. However, when you get down to what I think is the real funk, which is playing on the one and taking something that's so simple, but just because of the intensity of what you're playing, that is what makes something, for me, what I would say is funk. Playing on the one. You can find, James Brown talks about it. Bootsy talks about it. It's like on the one. So what we're going to be looking at here is playing on the one and showing how that alone and leaving the space can create a certain energy to it. And because we're focusing on voicings, and it's funk in E. So what we're going to be doing is I'm going to show you just some different voicings and how that can change the character of the one. Just so you can play around with the different voicings that we're looking at in this course. And it's a very simple group. It's just playing on the one, boom, and then the little line. And then you're going to hear these different little rhythms in there, and I'm going to play through it, and then I'll come back and break it down for you. You see here, what's happening rhythmically is very simple. You have the bass that's on the one. Ba, bump, bump, boom, bop, boom, 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 boom. And all we're having to do here is lock in with that. So, and the voicings we're using, we're still sticking with these tight voicings. And when I started it with right here, just with these fourths, so you're getting the root and the fourth and a flat seven. It could have been this one. For the person, so you might want to experiment with that. It could be either of those for that first chord. Now that I think about it. But what we did on this one, what I did was I stayed on here. So the very tippy top, it's just about, locking in, bop, 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 bop. So that each one of those hits has the same intensity. The idea is to have the same intensity rhythmically and dynamically. It's only one rhythm, one and one and bop, 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 bop. And for playing that type of thing the way I was doing it, if you were to do 3, 4, that would be one way to look at it. But here, what I'm getting is a tighter funk groove without the busyness. So, feeling those 16th notes without the scratching, that's what takes this example to the next level rhythmically to internalize that. And you can see here, even how I'm doing it right now, there's a certain motion in your right hand that's still feeling the time. That's what I'm doing anyway. Not just a static. I think that would be harder to land on that one. So that's the first voicing. That's just through the whole thing. Bop, 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 bop. Okay? The second time around, I went for the flat 7, 9, 13 voicing. And then to jump on, that's just a long one to follow with the bass, which is going boom, boom, boom. So we're matching up the articulation with the bass, so it's a tight one off. And these rhythms here, the distance between beat 1 and beat 2, that's what we're listening for here. So you're like 1, 1, so that you're feeling that drop on the backbeat. And then I switched it up, so to go with the D, I used this cluster here with the D and the 9 with that 5th on top. So a second and then a 4th. When I said the 5th, I meant the 5th against the D. Right. So we had. And again, there's a lot of this articulation, dynamic intensity with the way of getting those strings to pop, and so we're looking at voicings. In addition, we're paying attention to the dynamics and articulation of the playing, because that's what's making this a true funk style, 70s hard on the one. And then the third time around, I did the dominant on the 1, and then we did this. I did that voicing that we've used with that has the 9 and the 3rd, and then the root, and then taking that 3rd up to the 4th, and that was going against the D now. But bump for the bump, bump. So basically, you got a D, a D major, but with 9. Listen how it sounds against the chord. Okay, so that's all we got voicing wise. And then one time around, I just made this the bottom go up chromatic. Watch, it went like this. Watch. Now, the tricky part, the little quirky thing in here is, at the end of every 8-bar phrase, this is to add some extra interest to keeping up with it. Instead of just keeping that 4-bar, the 4-beat phrase, there's a bar of 2 there that makes the turnaround each time it comes back. And you'll hear that with this little bass line. It's a... and then back in on 1. And the way I was approaching that was rhythmically with the bass, beat da da bum 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 bum, just. And that's not really so. And that's against this line. So for the ending, I did jump on the line and I did this phrasing. So you can see how you can take this something that is very basic in terms of the amount of information that you're having to, put in here. Rhythmically, it's static, but it's about being able to lock in those rhythms and create an intensity within the simplicity of it. And here we're focusing on those small voicings, and as you go through it, because there's not a lot of harmonic information, you can still work with this track and do some other things with it as well. I mean, you might just and just really lock in on feeling the one. All right, always keep it on the one. Keep it funky.